The courtroom air crackled. "You defend thieves, you're all trash," bellowed Officer Malik Mitchell, his boot lashing out at Lena Carter, the black woman who'd just entered. He was oblivious, that kick was aimed squarely at his new police chief. Millstone District Court, a sterile chamber where hope often withered. Today, 17-year-old Aaron Carter stood accused, his face a mask of forced calm. He was black, tall but still boyish, and the charge, felony theft of a watch, felt like a lead weight. Aaron was the son of Sergeant Marcus Carter, a decorated Army Ranger posthumously awarded the Silver Star for valor in Afghanistan. His father's legacy of honor felt like a cruel irony in this place. The evidence against Aaron was flimsy, no fingerprints, no clear video, just the shaky testimony of a store clerk quick to point a finger. The indictment, a boilerplate 3-paragraph condemnation, cited suspicious behavior and a vague match to an initial description. His court-appointed lawyer, a woman with disheveled hair and a defeated slump, barely mounted a defense. She mumbled about youthful misjudgment, her voice a surrender rather than a challenge. The air in the courtroom was thick with a foregone conclusion, a familiar script where a young black man, a soldier's son no less, was already deemed guilty before any real argument commenced. His father's sacrifice seemed a forgotten footnote in this grimy theater of presumed guilt. Dominating the courtroom's oppressive atmosphere was Officer Malik Mitchell. A white man in his late 40s, his uniform was impeccably pressed, his silver badge a dull gleam against his chest. Mitchell wasn't military, his authority was purely civilian, yet he wielded it with the unyielding arrogance of a warlord in his own fiefdom. He moved with a deliberate, intimidating presence, his eyes cold and assessing. He'd built a reputation for efficiency, a euphemism for his quick-to-judge, heavy-handed approach, especially with people of color. Today, his gaze lingered on Aaron with a contempt that transcended mere suspicion. It was the look of a man who saw skin color as an indictment in itself. To Mitchell, Aaron wasn't the son of a hero, he was just another statistic, another black kid to be processed through the system he expertly manipulated. He'd once sneered to a colleague about these so-called heroes' kids thinking they're special. His very presence silenced dissent, a rookie reporter once ejected for sitting in the wrong chair, a young lawyer's phone call met with an icy stare that froze them mid-sentence. In Mitchell's courtroom, fear was the only recognized authority. The gallery was sparsely populated, a collection of weary faces already resigned to the outcome. Among them sat a few older black men, their posture subtly erect, their quiet observation a stark contrast to the surrounding apathy. These were retired servicemen, comrades of Aaron's late father, present to offer silent support, though their presence went unacknowledged by the court. They recognized the injustice, the familiar sting of prejudice, but experience had taught them the futility of outcry in Mitchell's domain. The prosecutor, a man named Ames, droned through the accusations, painting Aaron as a habitual troublemaker, twisting school tardiness into a pattern of repeated disciplinary violations. No one dared to interrupt, no one dared to question. The defense attorney offered no objections. Mitchell stood, arms folded, a smug sentinel overseeing a preordained ritual. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was the suffocating quiet of submission, a testament to Mitchell's reign of intimidation. Each tick of the courtroom clock seemed to hammer another nail into Aaron's coffin of presumed guilt. Just as the judge began to shuffle his papers, preparing to deliver what everyone anticipated would be a guilty verdict, the heavy rear door of the courtroom creaked open. A black woman stepped inside. She was in her late 40s, perhaps early 50s, dressed in a sharply tailored but understated dark gray pantsuit, civilian attire, yet her bearing was anything but ordinary. This was Lena Carter. Her hair was pulled back in a neat, professional style, her face unadorned by makeup, revealing the faint lines of experience and resolve around her eyes. Though her clothing gave no immediate clue to her background, her posture was ramrod straight, a disciplined grace in her every movement that spoke of years of command. She carried a simple leather attaché case, her gaze direct and unwavering as she scanned the room. She wasn't just present, she occupied the space, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the courtroom's tense, defeated atmosphere. Mitchell, ever vigilant for disruptions to his controlled environment, turned, his brow furrowing. He didn't recognize her, but something about her quiet confidence, the way she surveyed the room with an almost tactical assessment, set his teeth on edge. She was an anomaly, an uninvited presence in his carefully orchestrated play, and her very composure felt like a challenge. Lena Carter moved with quiet purpose, her steps measured and even, not towards the gallery, but towards the bar, near the defense table. She didn't rush, nor did she hesitate. Her presence seemed to suck the residual noise from the room, even the shuffling of papers ceased. Mitchell, accustomed to immediate deference, felt a surge of irritation. This woman, this unknown black woman, hadn't flinched under his initial glare. He straightened to his full height, a silent demand for acknowledgement and submission. "This is a restricted area, ma'am," he began, his voice low and edged with menace, the tone he used to quell incipient defiance. Lena stopped, turning to face him fully. Her eyes, a clear, steady brown, met his without a flicker of fear or apology. They were the eyes of someone who had faced down far greater threats than a uniformed bully. "I'm aware of courtroom protocols, officer," she stated, her voice calm, resonant, carrying an unexpected timbre of authority that belied her civilian dress. It wasn't what she said, but how she said it, the crisp enunciation, the inherent command. Mitchell felt an unfamiliar prickle of unease. He was used to people cowering, or at least looking away. Her direct, unblinking gaze was disarming. "You have no business here," he pressed, stepping closer, invading her personal space. "Identify yourself and state your purpose, or you will be removed." Lena Carter didn't yield an inch. "My purpose, Officer Mitchell," she began, her voice still level but now carrying a distinct edge of steel, "is to observe the administration of justice, or lack thereof, concerning my nephew, Aaron Carter." She gestured subtly towards Aaron. "And to ensure that no one, especially a minor with no prior record, is railroaded by prejudice." Mitchell's face darkened. "Nephew?" he sneered. "So, you're one of them." His gaze swept contemptuously over her. "Coming in here, defending a thief. You people are society's trash." The words, laced with raw, undisguised racism, ripped through the courtroom's tense silence. The retired servicemen in the gallery stiffened, their eyes blazing. Aaron flinched as if struck. Before Lena could respond, before anyone could process the blatant venom, Mitchell, his face contorted with fury at this unexpected, articulate defiance from a black woman, lashed out. Fueled by years of unchecked power and bigotry, he lunged forward, his polished black boot aimed squarely at Lena Carter's chest. The sickening thud echoed in the horrified silence. A collective gasp sucked the air from the room. This wasn't just an assault, it was a desecration of justice, broadcast in the ugliest possible terms. Lena Carter staggered back from the force of the kick, her attaché case flying from her grasp, papers scattering across the worn linoleum floor. She hit the wooden railing of the gallery with a jarring impact, a sharp pain shooting through her side. For a moment, the courtroom held its breath, expecting her to collapse, to cry out. Mitchell stood panting, a triumphant sneer on his lips, clearly expecting her to crumple. But Lena didn't scream. She didn't dissolve into tears. Instead, with a visible effort that spoke of incredible self-discipline and physical resilience honed over decades, she pushed herself upright. One hand went to her chest, where the boot had connected, but her eyes, when they refocused, burned with an intensity that was far from defeated. They were the eyes of a warrior, momentarily stunned but far from vanquished. The retired servicemen in the gallery exchanged grim, knowing looks, they recognized that steely resolve. Pain was a temporary inconvenience, honor was immutable. Slowly, deliberately, ignoring the throbbing in her ribs, Lena bent to retrieve one specific document from the scattered papers, a crisp, official-looking letter. Her movements were measured, each one a testament to a will that refused to be broken by brutality or bigotry. As Lena straightened, the document held firmly in her hand, the courtroom was a tableau of stunned disbelief. Mitchell, still breathing heavily, began to bluster. "Now you see what happens when you—" His words died in his throat. Lena Carter's voice cut through the silence, not loud, but carrying the undeniable weight of absolute authority. "Officer Malik Mitchell," she stated, her gaze pinning him where he stood, "you have just assaulted a superior officer. And you have done so in a manner that brings profound disgrace upon your badge and this department." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. Then, she addressed the bewildered judge. "Your Honor, may I present my credentials?" Without waiting for a reply, she took a step forward. "My name is Lena Carter. As of 0600 hours this morning, I am the duly appointed Chief of Police for the Millstone Police Department." A wave of shock rippled through the courtroom. Mitchell's jaw literally dropped, his face draining of all color, transforming from arrogant bully to a stammering, terrified wreck. But Lena wasn't finished. Furthermore, she continued, her voice resonating with years of command, "I am Colonel Lena Carter, United States Army, retired." She reached into her jacket and produced not only her new MPD chief's badge but also a small, distinguished medal, perhaps a Legion of Merit or a Bronze Star, glinting under the courtroom lights. "And you, Officer Mitchell, have insulted not only your chief but also a decorated veteran of this nation's armed forces and the family of a fallen hero." The dual revelation, police chief and decorated army colonel, landed like a series of perfectly executed hammer blows. The courtroom was utterly silent, the kind of silence that screams louder than any noise. Officer Mitchell stood frozen, his face a mask of dawning horror. The power dynamic had not just shifted, it had been cataclysmically inverted. The other officers in the room, who moments before had either passively observed or subtly supported Mitchell's aggression, now looked at Lena Carter with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The judge, visibly shaken, finally found his voice, a quavering, "Chief Carter. We had no idea." Lena inclined her head slightly. "That, Your Honor, is part of the problem." She turned her attention back to the trembling Mitchell. "Officer Mitchell, you are hereby suspended from duty, effective immediately, pending a full investigation into your conduct today, and, I suspect, numerous past incidents." Her voice was cold, precise, leaving no room for argument. "Your badge and service weapon will be surrendered. 2 uniformed officers will escort you from this courtroom." 2 nearby patrolmen, their faces pale but resolute, stepped forward, a new, unshakable authority in their demeanor. The edifice of fear Mitchell had so carefully constructed over years of abuse crumbled in an instant. He looked around wildly, seeking an ally, a loophole, but found only averted gazes and the dawning realization of his own monumental, career-ending miscalculation. Justice, in the form of a woman he had grievously underestimated, had arrived. Within hours, the story exploded. A grainy cell phone video, likely captured by one of the retired servicemen in the gallery who instinctively knew the importance of evidence, surfaced online. It showed Mitchell's racist tirade and the brutal kick, followed by Lena Carter's stunning self-identification. The hashtag Justice for Chief Carter and hashtag Respect the Uniform, referencing both police and military, trended globally. National news outlets picked up the story, contrasting Mitchell's thuggery with Chief Carter's dignified and formidable presence. Veterans organizations across the country issued powerful statements condemning Mitchell's actions and lauding Carter's composure and service. The Millstone mayor's office, initially caught flat-footed, scrambled to issue a statement of full support for their new chief, promising a transparent and thorough investigation. Aaron Carter's case, once a forgotten statistic, was now inextricably linked to a larger narrative of systemic abuse and the urgent need for reform. The video became a rallying cry, not just against police brutality, but for the respect owed to all who serve, and particularly for black women who navigate intersecting layers of discrimination even in positions of power. Under Chief Carter's direct and unwavering oversight, the re-examination of Aaron's case was swift and decisive. The original, flimsy evidence against him disintegrated under scrutiny. The store clerk, confronted with the public outcry and the chief's personal involvement, recanted parts of his testimony, admitting he'd been pressured to identify Aaron. Within days, all charges against Aaron Carter were dropped. He walked free, not just from the threat of prison, but from the stain of a false accusation, his family's military honor implicitly restored. Simultaneously, the internal affairs investigation into Malik Mitchell, now personally spearheaded by a trusted captain appointed by Lena, unearthed a pattern of similar abuses, complaints mysteriously lost, and a history of racially motivated misconduct. Mitchell, stripped of his authority and facing multiple criminal charges including assault on a law enforcement officer and civil rights violations, found himself on the other side of the interrogation table, his bluster replaced by a desperate, futile attempt to justify the unjustifiable. The system he had so arrogantly manipulated was finally, inexorably, turning against him. Weeks later, Chief Lena Carter, in her crisp MPD uniform, her colonel's insignia subtly displayed alongside her chief star, addressed her first press conference. She didn't dwell on her personal ordeal. Instead, she outlined a comprehensive reform agenda for the Millstone Police Department, emphasizing de-escalation training, implicit bias awareness, and the establishment of an independent civilian oversight board, significantly populated by veterans and community leaders. True strength, she stated, her voice calm but firm, lies not in dominance, but in unwavering service to justice for all citizens, especially those who have sacrificed for this nation and their families. Her gaze swept over the assembled press. The honor of any uniform is not inherent, it is earned daily through integrity and respect. A final graphic appeared on screen, respect is earned. Justice is fought for. What does #CommentRespectVets mean to you? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more stories that demand to be heard.